Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I'm on leechess.org, and I just got paired up playing a 15-2 game. Let's try e4 as a start and see what we get. Okay. Playing the white side of the Sicilian. Yeah, the last standard game I played, I was playing on the black end. So let's see what black throws at us here. Many options. Choose one. E6 it is. Okay. I'm gonna go with knight c3, I think. Yeah, let's try knight c3. I'm leaning towards g6, g3, bishop g2 as a white setup. Let's see what black does. a6, knight c6, d5. I think d5 is better only after I've played g3. Or I could just go straight in for an open Sicilian. Decisions. I'm gonna go in with g3. Take up a more closed type position. If d5, I think I'll go d3. What I don't want to do is make life so easy for black's queen bishop. Or in other words, d5, if I'm taking, I'm helping him out. I don't want to do that. I don't want to help my opponent. So on d5, we'll go with d3, and basically with that move, I'm saying I want to hold on to my strong point e4. Although maybe that's not so accurate, because on d5, d3, pawn takes, pawn, I think I might actually take with my knight. I give up my 4th rank center pawn, but I keep this diagonal open for when my bishop plays to g2. And also, I mean, on d5, d3, pawn takes, if I'm taking with the pawn, I'll have to go uncastled, or my knight will have to retreat. Scratch all of that. We don't need to consider that stuff anymore. d5 is not on board. Okay. It should be something everybody knows. My bishop belongs on g2, so let's get that move in. The move that everyone already knows is going to happen. Least flexible pieces, least flexible moves first. All right. Probably castle. Yep. At this point, there's a castle. There's a d-pawn move, but castle is the move here. Maybe I still go with d4. I could still turn. I still could go in that direction. For a moment there, I forgot I was playing a standard game. I was thinking I should move a little bit faster, but okay, let's consider here. It's an important moment. To go with d4, computer will be suggesting d4, but certainly d3 is playable. I don't think I've played this in a standard game before, while recording at least. No, maybe I'm off with that, but let's go with d3 setup. Okay. And now, what about bishop f4? Preparing e5. I don't believe that this is something, or this isn't a position where white has any advantage. It's just one of those evenish positions. Some playable setup. So I'm looking at bishop f4. I'm looking at rook to e1. Bishop f4, there is e5. However, that gives up the d5 square. And I could play here, look to take the knight out, and then operate on the d5 square. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I'm fine with seeing e5. I might go for that, which is a move that would prevent me from playing e5 to kind of break up their small pawn center, their d6, e6 structure. This is our first time playing. Okay, they are going with e5. And I think I do want to go for this. Yeah, let's shoot for it. I'm already eyeballing the d5 square. That's a term Yasser Serwin likes to use. Eyeballing the d5 square. Okay, so this is a hole in black's position. I may want to start chipping away at the pieces that control that square. At the same time, I need to be mindful of this pin, which can be quite difficult to get out of. If I take, and then just look to occupy this square, bishop here, and how do I ever get out of the pin? On any h3 move, there's first knight takes, then bishop takes pawn. No good. So I'm leaning towards h3 at this moment. I think I should go for that. I don't like capturing this knight without first being provoked. I could take him out at any moment. I think h3 is pretty useful. So let's do that. So if we take stock of just a couple of the central squares, d4 and d5. d5 is a hole, d4 is not. I can always play c3 at some stage. That's a good move. I can't have a knight here for the moment. Sometimes that would be a fine move to disrupt a bishop on e6. Kind of want to get rid of this guy. How do I make that happen? I'm leaning towards a knight move. This knight. To probably d2. I want my bishop to c. I think knight d2 is purposeful. And you know what? This is maybe a journey he can have. It's many moves. Maybe I have the time for that. I wonder some, however, about on knight d2, might there be b5, stopping knight c4. Maybe that's alright. Maybe it's okay that I can't make use of c4. I think it's good to open up this bishop's eyes at the end of the day. Are there any tactics, actually? Hang on. This is an unprotected piece as soon as I move my knight. So knight d2, is there knight takes here? Knight d2, knight takes pawn. That may be working. Bishop takes bishop, there's now knight takes knight. No, because I get to recapture and I'm on this guy. Okay, so I could stop my calculation there, I believe, at least. Queen d7, king h2, no biggie. Additionally, knight d2 is preparing possibly f4. Okay, so they are going in with b5. And how will they be reacting if I play f5? Because I may want to even go further and grab some kingside space with f5, g5, g4, g5 stuff. One thing I definitely can't do is on b4 jump in here because of knight takes, and on bishop takes bishop, the knight recaptures. I'm down a minor piece. So this has my attention. Is now the moment to take out that knight, so I could be prepared to meet b4 with knight d5? I think it may be. I don't know that I want to play f5 just yet. Especially if I'm going to be giving up soon my dark square bishop. If I'm going to move a pawn off of a dark square, I'm weakening these two. And his eyes might start to light up. So maybe I could look at taking the knight d5, and then look to kick this knight out. I don't think that that's a bad idea. Is there any other moves to consider here? Gotta pull the trigger on some move soon. Yeah, I feel a bit uncomfortable with playing f4. I need to be able to play here. And I should probably just go straight in for that. Yeah, I don't think it makes much sense to play f4 now and open up this bishop's eyes. A bit odd to see a delay here with the recapture. Is black really considering taking with the pawn? I would be very surprised if that happens. Maybe an internet issue? Wow, am I missing something here? Pretty much have to recapture with the bishop. Okay. Knight d5 in reply to what I'm almost certain is going to happen. Bishop takes bishop. I think so. Let's go right in. Centralize my knight. Operate on this weak square in the black position. He could be taken out, of course. And then we have a case of opposite color bishops. And in those positions, it's usually all about who can better activate their bishop. I would really like to see b4, because that gives up this square. b4 isn't really helping black so much, I don't think, at least. A bit of a surprising move. Okay, c3, I think so. Yeah, let's get c3 in there. I like that the rook isn't on the a file anymore, to be honest. I like this idea, trying to get him to flinch. Any move or capture gives up c4, and if black just holds tight with a6, preparing to maintain their b5 pawn, preparing to maintain control of c4, at least I have the a file to work with. It's not being contested. Interesting. Very interesting moment, actually. Because I could take with the knight. I guess black's idea is to meet pawn takes pawn with, well, the only square that's available to the knight on b5. If I take the knight, the bishop backs up somewhere. I could play d5 and have it locked. But I don't think that this is really an environment that my knight is so excited about. I don't see really a good spot for him if I'm going in for this capture and then push. I want this square for my knight. Am I missing any other idea? Pawn takes knight. They have to move the bishop. Taking here is only helping to activate their bishops. Oops. Let's get this straight. I want to take the bishop, not the knight. Yeah, almost certain that that's the way to take. So, okay. Their knight's going to go here. I have a pawn in black's position. I could play knight here right away, but I think the bishop will move, and then the knight will move, and then f5. I could start with first a4. I think I like that. I'd really like to see black give up the c4 square. Because what would that imply? It would imply that my knight gets c4, and it would exert pressure on d6, which is a base point within the black structure. And taking it one step further, keeping pressure here places a certain restriction on the black pieces. The queen does not like to have the job of babysitting a pawn. They still went for that. He gave up c4 pretty quick. Okay. I think I should just jump right in. Let's do it. I don't see a better square for my knight. Also, he conveniently defends against any 7th rank invasion. I guess the main idea with this is to make sure my rook does not get activity over the a-file. So that's I guess the thing that black has to weigh in such a position. Is it better to allow the white rook activity or the white knight activity? I think it was better. I think if I was playing on the black end, I would have maintained the b6 pawn, the b5 pawn with a6. But we'll see. One of these two pieces was going to be activated after my a4 move, so this is probably a good reorganization. Black is preparing an f5 move. I could even look further to c6. If I could somehow get there, that would probably be a good idea. I think I need to be prepared to meet f5 with f4. I have this square covered if I'm ever playing f4, but g3 is vulnerable. Then again, in order for f5 to come about, the knight would first need to move. I'm looking at a queen move now, like queen c2. I think I want to stay off of d2. I don't know. Let me make a quick move. Not sure. I kind of like my knight on c4. Well, he is my best piece. I don't know. I mean, there could be some rare cases where a knight can be on c6 and maybe be not as effective as a knight on c4 in this case. It's true he cannot be dislodged from that square, but in some rare cases, I've had some experience where the knight is just kind of, once the rook and the queen are out of harm's way, the knight can maybe be worked around. I wonder about just rook a to e1, preparing f4 for when the knight moves. I'm going to go for that. I think this is the side of the board I need to play on. Queen here, would black really go in for something like that? Preparing a push and then a take? I don't think that that's working. I'm expecting this knight e7 and then get the f-pawn rolling. I'll have it'll make some sense with my knight on c4. It's important to not just look at the pressure on d6, but also e5. So they're really reinforcing the e5 point. I'm going to make a pretty non-committal move, get something fast in there. I do have this in mind. I did think about this instead of king h2, but I kind of want to stay clear of this pretty committal move, moving a pawn near my king. It's an idea, because getting the bishop on this diagonal. Okay, so the knight backed off. So it's probably going to be the case they play f5. What kind of useful move can I get in there? I don't know. I don't want to play f4 until I see first f5. But why am I in that frame of mind, I wonder? I don't think I have a good answer to that. Well, let's still go with something non-committal. I think it's fine one move later. I'd like to see this move before I play f4, because then the knight at least can't go here and make use of some weaknesses. Maybe now I lean a bit more towards h4 and bishop here. They're really reinforcing e5 now. Yeah, I like how black is playing this. Very patient. f6, knight h6, knight f7. I'm going to go with this. h4, bishop h3. I may keep this structure sitting. And maybe I even have an idea of playing bishop h3, king g2, rook h1, and h5. If my bishop is on h3, he's no longer protected. But should I even play to bishop h3? What about bishop f3? Defending the pawn. Playing f5, and then this knight can't move. Maybe f5 is better. I'm never going to take on this square, though. I don't want to take on that square. Not going to do that. I don't know if this is the best square for the bishop, but I'm going to try it. Bishop f3, king g2. Okay, they're hitting that pawn. I might want to give him up, to be honest. Knight a5 into c6. Yeah, I think I need some activity on the other side of the board. It's my opportunity to do that. I'm going to try it. I'm giving up a pawn here to relocate my knight on c6, and I'm kind of hoping that he'll get some activity. I believe he will be quite disruptive, especially if I could land a check. King is here. One day if the h-file somehow opens up. Probably a bit far-fetched, but anyhow, that's what's running through my mind right away. These checking opportunities, because he will be getting to c6. Will he be offset with knight d8? I could still jump in, as a capture on c6 gives me a passed pawn, and it extends the scope of my bishop. Queen takes a4. I think it's best to hop right into c6 before playing rook here. Can't work out the exact details behind that. But yeah, I think that this is a good way to relocate my knight. I don't see this being an inconvenience, me keeping pressure here. I just feel like I need some knight improvement, something to stir up some trouble. Whether it's c4 or c6, both are exerting pressure on e5. Okay, so they're ruling that one out. But I believe I could still run right in there, no? Yeah, let's hop in. Gonna give me an act. Wow, that's a very surprising move. I don't think that that is right. Because next up is c4 bishop here, and as I was pointing out with these opposite color bishops, whoever can better improve their bishop, or whoever can put to use their bishop, is probably going to be doing better. So now I could just go straight in for this check, and I could probably do without c4. And now probably let's get in king g2, h5, keep the c3 pawn sitting, or lock down on the queen side completely. I actually think I like that idea. Yeah, I don't want to even allow any activity along the b-file. I think I have the time for these moves now. Maybe even go one step further with b3. That gives up this square, so there's pawn push, bishop here stuff. I think I'm fine with allowing b3 if they want to play b3. I don't want to give up c3. There are some cases, I imagine, where I could give up the exchange and still be better because of this monster here on d4. I think he's so much... Yeah, they're going to go in for an exchange sacrifice. So now I'm leaning towards getting my queen to d5, because they're going to go in for that exchange. And they're on the a4 pawn after that as well. You know what? I should probably forget about taking the rook. Who cares about that? Let's do it. I'm looking for mate. Looking up to open up the A file. Looking to make use of the fact that I have control over G8. Takes, sacrifices here. Yeah. I'm not going to take that rook, I don't think. Looking to stir up some trouble. They can't take here just yet. Because I could take, and well, at the very least, they cannot take back. Opening up the H file is too much. Queen on D2. It does have a purpose. Stops G5. So the H file is going to open up. And I'm pretty quick to get there. They're prepared to take with the rook, clearly. Huh. What about Queen G5? What about my time? Yeah, let's go here. I thought about this for a moment, but that allows H6 and G5. That would be not cool. I could do it next, because on H6 I could take, and then there's no pawn takes. They're in a pin. I think I want to play Queen G5 next. Let's do it. I'm not taking that rook. He's too good. So how are they defending this now? H6, pawn takes pawn. If the queen comes over here, now I'm taking the rook. So for the moment, these two pieces are bottled up. I'm trying to make use of this. One piece restricting two. And next up we have this in sacrifices for when they try to close it up. I think this is a winning attack, if I'm not mistaken. I don't see how they defend G6. Let's take. Threatening mate in 1. This is no defense because I could just smash through. Yeah, I got this. Rook takes pawn, I take here. It's a big turnaround. I think I have this. Let me make certain. Threatening mate in 1. Shouldn't be too much to calculate. There's no checks against my king. Rook takes here. I have this covered. This is busted, as far as I could tell. Pawn push, takes, bishop takes, queen takes with check. Queen blocks, I take the queen. With the queen. Yeah, this is busted. I think their mistake, I liked how they played it up to the point where they went into defensive mode. I think maybe they could have tried to work around my knight on c6. Capturing here gave me too much. Gave up d5. And yeah. Big turning point. Big structural shift. So I just take here. Could even be fancy with taking here on bishop takes, but no. Just take here for mate. Not even certain this would be leading to mate. It's a mate in 2 coming up. We'll have a look back. I really liked how they did things here with f6, knight h6, knight f7. Maybe they just got a little too scared of my knight on c6. I think there was maybe a way they could have worked around it. Capturing the knight on c6 gave me too much. I was able to put to use my bishop. Let's see what black's going to do. I'll just play this one out to mate, I guess. Queen has to block. Let's see. Even go back. Just in case I'm getting notified. No, I'm not getting notified. Alright, they resigned. Let's go into the analysis. Because I think black was better. What can I say? Let me click on the computer analysis. And that'll come up shortly. Yeah, I think black was better. Once we had this structural shift right around here. Pretty sure these next several moves it'll be leaning in black's favor. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think how black played it is fine. This is a bit of a debatable move. One of these two, as mentioned, is going to get active. We'll see what the computer suggestions are. I really liked how black played it. I don't know, like up until this point here. Again, I'm a bit iffy on whether or not b4 or a6 should have been played. But even right here, oh, it's pointing out g6. Very important moment, because queen d7, you're signing up for this. Whether or not it's good, I'm not sure, but I know I have this as a possibility at least, whereas keep the queen here, my knight can't do that. It's pointing out g5. I didn't even consider that. That's a bit of a strange move, because pretty soon I'm going to be getting to the H file. I don't know. Let's see what the computer's saying. Well, it has it as even down for quite some time. Yeah, tight game. F5, and when I played bishop f3, this is the first moment where it really doesn't like it, actually. This point here, where it suggests g5. Let's put this evaluation on. What's the great story behind g5? I mean, my first thought is just take him out. Knight takes, and I guess I can't get away with this stuff, right? My king's getting lured out. It's what my instinct tells me, like, real quick to just do something like this, but yeah, there's some concrete line. Given enough time, I'm trying to operate on the H file, but do I have the time is the big question. I don't think I do. And if I'm playing here, well, how exactly do I get a rook here? I guess I could try for this first, but there's very direct stuff. F4, F3, a queen maybe sneaking in. Okay, G5. Yeah, I don't know. It's a very interesting pawn break. If we look at the other pawn breaks, I don't believe they're helpful. Takes. I don't know what the great follow-up is for the rook. It's a super knight on C4. If we look at, instead of this capture, a push here, it's dropping a pawn, although I guess there's some play here for black. Opening up E5 for the minor pieces. And on this move, it's weakening the light squares. I could already slither in there to E6. I think the important point, and this is a moment where I think could easily misunderstand this structure. I was pointing out where at this stage I could play F5, and I think that this might... Oh, well, that's another reason not to play, because of this pressure here. I can't maintain a pawn here. I'm dropping H4. But let's just assume for the moment that there isn't this capture. In fact, let's go one step back. This is the reason why I didn't want to play F4. It's because I'm never threatening to capture on E5. After F5, this is the suggestion by the computer. Well, it was for a moment, but I don't want this to happen. I don't want to give black this square on E5. I guess I could take it away with E5, but I didn't see. Okay, if I could take it away with D5, maybe this is something. But this is what I was thinking during the game. I was thinking, well, if I take here, they're going to be able to recapture and keep a piece on E5, but I could control it with D4. And then even look at this square, the weak square in black's position, this hole on E6. Okay, I guess I could go in for F4. Still prefers black. Okay, interesting. I stayed away from f4. And then I guess they should have gone in for g5 there. They played queen d7. I go for this knight reposition. It's right around equal now. Have that right? Yeah, for just a little bit, and it doesn't like the knight d8 idea. So I'm jumping in. Doesn't want to capture the knight. Yeah, this is where there's a shift. g5 was the improvement here for black, instead of queen d7. And now after the capture and I'm getting to d5, it's just going to be in my favor from here on out. Not a winning advantage, but at a certain point it got to be quite difficult. This is one of those positions where you have the time to, this is what I want to do. I want to play on the king side, but I'm looking to invest some tempi first with moves like c4 to shut down the queen side, make sure that there's not going to be any activity there, and that will buy me some time to get the moves in on the king side, the king g2s, the rook h1s, h5s, those moves to open up the h-file. So that's why I'm going with c4, and then opening up the king side. Things really turned as soon as there was that structural shift, as soon as there was that capture on c6. And I guess it's already very important that black make sure the h-file does not open up, because that combined with the bishop on d5 is really too much. It's busted from here. I should be going straight in for queen there. Huh. I thought I pointed out in the game I should not go for this because of h6. Oh wow, that's nice. I could still play pawn takes pawn here. I thought on h6 I back off and then there's g5 and things are closed. The h-file is closed at least, but even in this position I could take. This is nice, giving up the queen. And we're still going to be winning the house. Picking up the queen and mate soon, I imagine. Oh, that's interesting. So queen g5 I could have played right away, but alright. If I went in for just this recapture, if I was materialistic grabbing here, I don't really know how to assess this position. It's still tricky. I was a bit worried about dropping my a4 pawn. I don't know how active my rooks are really going to get. I guess I still get some activity on the h-file, but I thought it better to maintain my bishop on d5 and go in for some attack against their king, and not be too concerned about being down a pawn in this position. 4, 5, 6, and I'll have 7, and they still have a full rack of pawns. Not as important as the activity of the bishops. Yeah, this is just going straight in for a mate. Interesting game. Clearly we could see very, very tight for some time. Up to move 20, 22, call it. I really like how black played it. And just right around here there could have been an adjustment. This felt awkward. I know during the game I was like bishop h3, king g2, or bishop f3. It felt awkward, and this is maybe a way to take advantage of this. With g5 and a knight. Immediately striking at this now, well, it's a loose piece on f3. Black starts giving direction to me. Okay, well, interesting game, as usual. Feel free to leave any feedback to this video in the comments section below. And as always, I hope you got something out of it. That's all for now. Take care.